For today's recipe, I'm going to show you how to make these easy and delicious flour butter cookies. In the bowl of a stand mixer, using the paddle attachment, you will want to cream 1 cup of butter that has been softened to room temperature. I like to leave this overnight. Next, sift 1/2 cup of powdered sugar and add that to the butter. You are going to need to mix this on low for 3 to 4 minutes or until it is pale in color and the sugar is well incorporated into the butter. Now we will scrape down the sides of our bowl as needed and add 1 cup of flour. I like to add my flour in 2 additions just so that I don't end up with a big mess everywhere. So once that's incorporated, we'll add in our 2nd cup of flour, and we're going to continue mixing this on low until our dough comes together. Now we'll scrape down our bowl and add 1 tablespoon of milk to thin out our dough. We'll also add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and now we're going to mix this until it's combined. If it's still too thick, you can just add another tablespoon of milk until it's a nice pipeable consistency. Now I'm going to separate a little bit of my dough. This is about 1/3 of a cup. I'm going to add some lemon yellow food coloring. Using a spatula, I'm just going to blend this in, and you can see here that it's a nice spreadable consistency, which also means that this was going to be easy for us to pipe. Going to add pink to the remaining dough, and now I'm going to separate a small amount out and add a little bit more pink to add an accent color. Again, this step is completely optional. I just like to have a little bit more variation on these cookies. So we're going to mix that in, and then I'm going to line my stripe up with the narrow end of my tip. This is going to give me a darker pink star shape in the center of my flour. If you would like the accent color on the outer edge of your petals, just line it up with the wide end of your tip. I like to use a long, narrow spatula to spread a thin stripe on the side of my piping bag, and then I actually come in with a bench scraper and press it all to the side. You could also just use a butter knife. And now that it's pressed over to the side, it's very easy to fill up the remainder of the bag with that lighter pink dough. I'm going to move the yellow into a bag fitted with a star tip, and any star tip would work for the center. Attach a square of parchment to a flour nail, and with the narrow end at the center, wide end facing out, you're going to apply pressure, pull up slightly while turning the flour nail, and dip back down towards the center to form your petals. So apply pressure, pull up, spin, and dip back to the center to form your petal. As you come in to do the last petal, lift your tip up slightly just so that you don't drag it through that first petal that we formed. Now we can add a nice yellow center to our flour, and we are going to move the whole square of parchment to our baking sheet. So once more, just attach a square of parchment to your flour nail, and with the narrow end at the center, wide end facing out, apply pressure, pull up, spin, and pull back down to form each of your petals. You can see here that that darker pink is adding a nice accent to the center. Don't forget to check out the description box to find the full recipe and all of these instructions. Now we can add a center in here, and these are going to need to chill for 30 to 60 minutes until they're nice and cold and firm. Then they will bake for 9 to 11 minutes in an oven that is preheated to 325 Fahrenheit or 160 Celsius. Allow them to cool on the pan for a moment before moving to a wire rack. If you have enjoyed this tutorial, I'd appreciate so much if you would like or subscribe, and I hope that you'll join me next week.